You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Welcome to the very first Mountain Misfits podcast. That's all about Vita and Rad's adventures together.
Good.
So that's what this is all about. So we have this life of adventure together. So we're hikers. You're a fitness fanatic. I'm a fitness novice at best.
No, you're pretty good.
Nature lovers.
We both are.
And,
we're a naturalist.
And life partners living life in the mountains.
Yes.
So on this podcast, we're just going to talk about our adventures, some gear reviews, things that are on our minds, just everything outdoor adventure related.
Sure.
How does that sound?
That sounds perfect to me. I think it's our milieu.
Our milieu.
Oh, did I mispronounce it?
No, you were totally right. I just like the use of the word milieu.
It's our forte.
But I was thinking, like, for the listeners, the most important thing they can do is just relax and take a listen. And hopefully you find a couple little tidbits you find entertaining or educational.
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 That's what we're going for.
So, very first episode, how do you feel being back on a microphone?
We've done this before, where we used to have our beer radio show.
Mm-hmm.
And you used to be the host.
Mm-hmm.
I was just there along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
So you had most of the responsibility while I had all the fun.
And now?
It feels exactly the same way. I don't mind that.
I have all the responsibility. Yeah, whatever happens.
Yeah.
That's not so bad. So, let's kind of start off with, not a hard question, but let's start off with an adventure we've had lately. We made our first winter trip to Glacier National Park.
That was my first time ever being in Glacier in winter.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, every time we went to Glacier, it was in spring and summer.
Mm-hmm.
And fall. So this was completely new and different. I was hoping to be able to get a glimpse of the mountains with all the snow, but unfortunately there was lots of clouds and an inversion, so there was no peaks to be seen.
It was kind of living like, what do they call it, life inside a ping pong ball?
It totally was. Not that it was a disappointment, because Glacier is kind of my happy place, and I love being there, and it was still pretty regardless. But maybe next time we'll do it on a sunny day so I can see the mountain peaks.
That would be ideal, wouldn't it? Yeah, compared to that we had. But we went up to Fish Lake.
Yeah.
A frozen Fish Lake, which was a thoroughly enjoyable hike. We had our buddy who's in the witness protection program. So John was along for the trip.
Yeah.
And what was it, about just over 6 miles or just under 6 miles?
Yeah, it felt like a walk in the park mostly because you and I are used to hiking.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why you and I train, because I want us to train so hard so that when we're when we're adventuring out and about, we can actually enjoy it rather than endure it or persevere it.
Right.
You know, I want it to feel like a walk in the park.
Right.
So we can do more of it, and then you don't get back home half dead and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had plenty of energy on the way back home for sure.
Oh yeah.
So I was thinking it's a great trail. You take off right from the Lake McDonald Lodge parking lot, and you go up towards Sperry Glacier. You're on the Sperry Glacier Trail.
Yeah.
And then you kick off to the right, and there was that wonderful log bridge crossing.
Yes.
And they called it Crystal Ford. I just thought that was miraculous.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
So there was 2 of those log bridge crossings. One was just one log. The other one was an actual bridge.
One was a little more civilized than the other.
Yeah. So that was actually the highlight of the hike, in my opinion.
The bridges?
Yeah, the bridges for sure.
They were really pretty. Because they had that billowy snow on top of them.
And then the water and then the ice and
And we largely had the whole hike to ourselves until
that couple showed up.
And I don't know if we want to start off with I think it's a concern.
I think it's a concern.
So when we got to Fish Lake, which was entirely frozen.
Yeah.
What was the first sound we heard when we got to Fish Lake? Yeah. So, some asshat was flying his drone in the national park.
Yeah, and he knew damn well what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason why is I knew the drone, and I knew that he had to disable all the notifications.
Off.
Because it was going to tell you, like, look, you're in a national park, you can't take off, it's a no-fly zone. And he insisted.
Yeah. Which is, I think, is very inconsiderate to all the people. I mean, it's you want to take your photos, by all means. It's just that we didn't hike 6 miles, make a trip all the way from Missoula to Glacier National Park just to hear your drone.
Right. And, even if he had been there by himself, it's just the idea that there was a chance that someone else could be there enjoying it.
Well, leave wilderness.
Yeah. I don't need that.
Yeah. You take pictures if you want the memories to look at. Just take pictures. There's nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was incredibly fucking rude.
Well, no, it was beyond rude.
Yeah.
It was beyond rude. And I went down, and I didn't yell at him. I just told him.
You were very polite and all that.
I just told him, hey, look, you're going to get this huge fine. They're going to confiscate it if you get caught. It's illegal. And he was quickish about landing it. I knew he was still taking footage as he was landing it.
Yeah.
But
he did pretend that he didn't know.
He did pretend like he didn't know, and like I was saying before, I knew that you had to disable all those warnings before you even took off. So that was definitely the downside of it. Was kind of this.
But you and I made a pact that when we see people destroying the wilderness or being inconsiderate to others around them or wildlife or nature, we were actually going to speak up. Because usually you and I watch and endure because we want to be polite. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. We don't want to ruin the trip, ruin our own experience. So we just kind of, we take note and bear and grin and, we move on. But there's starting to be more and more of these people. And somebody's got to say something.
Well, and the number of people that are out. I mean, we noticed it all through the summer. Yeah. And even in the winter, when we got to the trailhead at Lake McDonald Lodge, what was there, 5 cars in the parking lot? Yeah. And almost all those people were headed up the road to Avalanche.
Yeah.
And by the time we got back, what was it, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, somewhere in there, in the later afternoon, and that parking lot was filled to the gills.
I know.
In the wintertime. I was actually kind of shocked to see that much traffic there.
So why do you think that is? I mean, I know COVID kickstarted a lot of people, encouraging them to be outdoorsy, go from the couch to right to the wilderness with no Google research, with no books and whatnot.
Right.
What I'm trying to say is, do a little bit of research before you go outside, or at least the do's and don'ts.
Well, I think there's a lot of people it's great that people are getting outside.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get at. I didn't want to say that, if you're a couch potato, overstay a couch potato, you don't deserve to go outside.
Right.
But I wanted to say, people with no experience all of a sudden set out to be, mountain man, and they get out there and they have no clue what they're doing, and they usually end up, it'd be nice if a lot of these people kind of took their cues from others around them. But a lot of times they just, they don't. They just put their heads down and go about, as if this is the city and this is New York.
Well, and how many times did we see, 7 miles back during the summer and some kid who wants to go take an Insta-scam photo.
Yeah.
It literally has a t-shirt and chacos on, and that's it.
Yeah.
and it's kind of like I'm not the biggest safety guy in the world, but I'm like, what happens if you got hurt with that? I mean, there's no backup.
Well,
for
it
you.
makes the news if you and I are both into a lot of hiking groups and whatnot.
Right.
And, there'd be an article and somebody writes about this really pretty little hiker that wanted to be an Instagrammer, the famous Instagrammer, and she went too close to the edge and now she's dead. That's what happens. You just become a news. You just become another number in the stats.
But you never go too close to the edge unless you know what you're doing, right?
I hate being close to the edge. This guy, on the other hand.
I love being close to the edge.
No.
But
we're going to fix that this summer.
You think so?
Yes, I do think so.
So, yeah, you actually talked about putting a tether on my belt loop.
I am serious about that. We have a tether at home.
She's going to leash me like a
I just want to know when you take off so I can keep an eye on you. Because last summer when we hiked St. Mary's, I told you not to get close to the edge, and you said okay. And we were milling around and whatnot.
And this is St. Mary's Peak in the Bitterroots.
Yes,
right.
And I'm taking my pictures. I turn around and you're completely gone. You're way at the other end, close, very, very close to a peak. And honestly, my heart started to beat. I wanted to yell out your name, but I thought if I yell your name, it might actually throw you off your balance and distract you from the little balance that you have going on. So I just had to shut up and just keep my fingers crossed. And oh my goodness, you have no idea how that felt. So
I wasn't that close to the edge.
This summer we're going to completely take care of that. I'm going to watch you like a hawk.
You think so, huh?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So back to the crowding problem. I kind of think that's, in the parks, it seems to me that's becoming this huge problem. Like we noticed the crowding starting, was it 2 seasons ago in Glacier, where there was a lineup. Remember St. Mary's Campground on the east side of Glacier Park?
Yeah.
There are people starting to line up for camp spots at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It's just crazy town.
I actually hate that with all my being because I want adventure. I don't want to be sitting in the car at 3 a.m. Like I'd rather be sitting in the wilderness, watching for wolves or I don't know, the bear that's going to come eat me rather than be in a lineup of cars.
Right.
Waiting for a fucking parking spot. It just seems ironic to say the least. It says anything but nature and adventure. But we have a solution for that this year.
We do have a solution. We are getting a rooftop tent on our Jeep. So guerrilla car camping is going to be much easier this year.
Yeah.
So we'll be able just to tuck into a spot. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Sleep.
And
get going in the morning, which would be fantastic.
We're not really in Glacier to get a good night's sleep. We just want rest, get up and get back after it.
Yeah.
Shut your eyes somewhere warm, out of the rain, out of the cold and wind, and then
go.
Yeah, and get up at 5 a.m. and get after it.
Well, so back to our Fish Lake hike.
Oh, right. We kind of drifted away.
But
that's fine.
That's fine.
We said it's going to be a stream of consciousness. Right?
It is a stream of outdoor consciousness.
Completely.
Speaking of which, I think we should have a libation.
I think
it's a perfect time. So for our first beer on the first podcast, we're going to an old standard for us. And that is the Public Landowner Pale Ale from Highlander Brewing in the... What was the saying about Missoula, Montana? The world is full of bastards, and the number progresses the further you get away from Missoula, Montana.
So he knows that line from the movie The River Runs Through It.
That's right.
I think I did like that line too. And do you want to talk about why you keep gravitating towards this beer, even though they don't know that we even exist?
Well, okay. The reason why I like the Public Landowner Pale Ale it was a collaboration brew with a nonprofit, which happens to be Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. Mm-hmm. They do a lot of great work for conservation and protection of wild lands. And anytime that you can anytime that you can have hikers and mountain bikers and the hunting community and the fishing community all on the same page about an issue, that has some power when you go to the powers that be and ask for something or demand that something not be done.
Okay, so what you're trying to say is people from all different walks of life actually unite on the one cause.
And I think they're giving like 10% of the proceeds to Backcountry. Oh, okay. So,
all right, so that makes it a little bit.
It's a worthwhile beer for sure.
No.
So, I think it's available only in the state of Montana. Yeah. So
unless you know us.
Unless you want to trade. This isn't a giveaway situation. Somebody wants to trade, like a Bell's Two Hearted or a New Glarus Belgian Red, I will trade with you.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, I so wish we had our own brewery so we can actually give away beer. I think it's a great way to make friends. But since we don't own a brewery, now we can just trade.
We'll sell that's how you make sure that you don't own a brewery for long. Giving away.
Yeah, giving. True that. But you make lots of friends, though, don't you think?
Friends and poor.
Yeah.
Chin chin. So back to Fish Lake. When we got there, it was completely frozen, and it had some snow on it, but I walked out on the ice itself, and it was hockey rink smooth frozen. It was really neat. And what did we do on the ice?
We made hot toddies. Or was it hot chocolate? It was hot. It was spiked hot chocolate.
Spiked hot chocolate, yeah.
So that we had brought with us little things of bourbon and chocolate, and we boiled water. I carried water with us. Although what we could have done is just taken the snow, melted it in the...
No, we had milk, remember? Oh. We made it rich.
I carried with me milk all the way.
That's why it's a little heavier than water.
Yeah, now I remember. So it was actually rich.
Yeah.
It was kind of hit the spot, lots of calories. And because it's when you hike in the winter, I find myself more in need of calories than the summer. Even though in the summertime, you think I would want to eat more because I'm sweating more and, using up calories. But I think to keep warm, you use more calories.
Oh, yeah. And I also think when you walk in the snow, you're going a little slower, but it's almost like walking in sand where you have that little bit of energies with each footstep is being pressed into the snow and lost.
Yeah.
So your conversion of that muscle power to movement is maybe it's 5% lower. Maybe, I don't know what the percentage. I know it's fairly low, but it's noticeable over time. They go, I'm more tired than I should be. But we got there and we had our spike, and we used our new-ish jet boil flash stove. It was the second time.
It's straight up new. It's not even new-ish. We only used it twice.
Yeah. Well,
we did once for a test run in case, to make sure that it works before we actually take it out for its maiden voyage, as you would say.
And I think it's actually, it lives up to the hype. It says it boils water in 120 seconds, and water was boiling in 2 minutes.
120 seconds.
And this was in the winter. And just as a little promo, if people want to see our review of the Jet Boil Flash, it's on our YouTube channel, which is Mountain Misfits. Just look for the channel name. So that's MTN Misfits.
Yes.
So we had our spiked hot chocolate, and then we staggered.
Warmed up.
Bellies were warm.
Yeah, well, bellies were warm, but more importantly, our heads were warmer. And I remember I remarked that as long as our heads are in the right place, as long as we're in the right headspace, we can kind of endure just about anything. So the way back was was okay. It didn't seem to drag on for a while.
I did notice our tentative talk to Lake, like, maybe we take this Sperry Trail up a little ways. We get to the junction of the Sperry Trail, all three of us are like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, we decided, we were all feeling good, right? So,
right.
Feeling good and ambitious, and, we went just a yard up, and then it wasn't a trail. We would have been the first people to set the trail, and we kind of didn't want to be there for 6 more hours.
In the dark. With an extra walk on the road on the way back. Yeah. So it was a great out and back hike, about 6 miles total.
Yeah. And it was nice for us because you and I usually aim high when we go hiking in the summer. By aim high, meaning we bag mountains.
Yeah, we try to get to the top. We
go to the ridges and the peaks. So the trails down below always get neglected. And I'm always curious about what am I missing out, and this was kind of answering that question. Mm-hmm. What did I miss out on?
Well, and it was kind of neat because you're right. There's so many of those off of the road, low elevation hikes in Glacier.
Yeah.
That we just someday, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather get up high and see the world. So it kind of gives you, the winter hiking gives you kind of that perfect excuse
to do it.
And the great part is there was enough traffic on the trail that we didn't even have to worry about yak tracks because it wasn't icy.
Yeah.
And it was packed down enough we never had to break out snowshoes. It was perfect. We could actually hike it.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that adventure done.
Yeah.
And we got to graciously stay on Flathead Lake at a cabin.
Yeah, other friends, family cabin, which was nice and warm and cozy.
We had a great bonfire.
Yes.
We had a deluxe bonfire.
Actually, that very day, we went home and we watched the river runs through it in the cabin.
That's right, yeah.
So which was actually the perfect movie to follow a hike in the mountains with.
Yeah, it actually was. It was very relaxing.
What was that?
That's called a notification that someone didn't turn the sound down.
Oh, I wonder who that is. By the way, I was just going to say that I keep forgetting that the camera is there and my eye automatically goes to those bars you have on your computer. So people are going to think I'm looking over their heads. And so I hate not to, make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And look weird, I suppose. So I guess we'll get it next time. Plus, I have this big ass camera blocking my face.
Microphone, yeah.
Camera, sorry, yeah. Well, we'll get it.
You asked me not to ask you the hard questions.
We have more going on.
We have more going on.
We did talk a lot, but you want to make us talk more. That's fine.
Lengthen it out. No, this isn't a length question. But I think for the next episode, I think we're going to not only talk about another adventure that we've had recently, or maybe far in the past, we'll decide. But I think we're going to talk about what it is to be a couple who has adventures.
Okay.
Because I think that's very different. I noticed that when I do things alone, it's I could be the exact same place, but it has a very different feel than when I do it with you.
So maybe that's the question you should answer, because I'm always hiking with you.
Oh, yeah. You don't do much solo hiking.
I don't do much solo. You're the solo hiker, so that's actually a question for you.
That might be a question for me. Yeah. I think it's a question for us, but I think I have the compare and contrast, and you have...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what about BR, before Rad?
What about that?
Well, you went out a little bit.
I wasn't hiking. No. I don't know why I don't venture off into the wilderness by myself. I don't know. Maybe I should do it one of these days. Oh, I have, around Missoula. I mean, go on Sentinel.
Well, yeah. What about your snowy winter ascent to Sentinel while we were downtown?
But that's not the same as, going into the wilderness.
No, that's very urbanish.
Yeah.
But it was still quite the adventure.
It was. I actually did like it a lot.
So you should tell people what exactly you did.
Well, all I did was run from home at the time, to the bottom of the M, go up the M, and my plan was to just go to the M and come back and have like a straight 3-mile hike plus run. But then I got to the M and I was feeling good, and I saw some people go up, so I just, if they can do it, I can do it, sort of thing. And then, I kept going up, and, maybe just a little bit more, and just a little bit more, and before you know it, I'm on top of Sentinel with gym shoes and nothing but really light gloves and whatnot. But I actually had a blast because I was there by myself, and it was right after the first snow, so there was fresh fluffy clouds on top of trees. That's the way I can. It's not like those clouds, but the snow.
It's like a kid drew clouds.
Yes, it looked so surreal and unreal. I absolutely enjoyed it. So, which gave me the first taste of solo hiking. Which which inspired me to maybe do one more. See if I like it more than hiking with others.
You better not. You better not do that, because I like hiking with you, so I can't lose my hiking buddy.
Well, same goes for you.
So, we'll answer that question.
Yeah.
The next episode.
Yeah.
And to kind of close out business, I would like to thank anybody and everybody who watched this or listened to this. This is the very first one.
Yeah.
Which is kind of exciting that we're doing podcasts, because we used to do radio together, and then we did podcasts together, and then we kind of went podcast silent for years.
But we had life happening at that time.
We had a bunch of things going on.
We had things going on. It's not like, it's not like we drifted off. We went off the grid and, sat on the couch and just, binge watched. But,
talking on the microphone as a priority went way down.
Our priorities definitely changed because life had different plans for us. But now that's over and behind us, we are ready to get back on the horse.
There you go.
Saddle up, cowboy.
So where can people see our adventures and to get reviews and all that stuff?
We are on Mountain Misfits on just about every social media platform you could think of.
Right. So just look up MTN Misfits.
Yeah.
So acronym Misfits. MTN Misfits. And we're also at mtnmisfits.com, which hosts this podcast, but also gear reviews, summaries of our hikes. And so if you see a hike that we've done and you would like to do it, you can actually download the GPS file, throw it in your phone, and now you can do the exact same hike we just did.
That's awesome. I did not know that.
Added benefits. I'm adding the benefits.
You didn't tell me about that, but in 2018, when you and I got very hype about hiking 600 miles and whatnot, during that time I had a lot of requests from people who wanted to do our hikes and whatnot, and I made them that promise that eventually we'll give them the details and whatnot.
Now they're gonna get it.
I know, so I'm kind of glad that I'm keeping my promise.
That's right. And if anyone hears a succession of tapping, that is our flicker, who has somehow decided, 1, our house is a tree, 2, it's an appropriate tree for a home. And what I've had
I love flickers. Flickers are very, very pretty.
Except for when it's your office and their nest is on the wall where your head is.
Well, we have the flicker here in Rad's office, but what's going on at the front door? Tell me.
So we have these big picture windows, and we have this psychotic song sparrow that sees a reflection in the window of another song sparrow.
It's himself.
And he spends half hour, 45 minutes every morning going back and forth and posturing on the windowsill at the reflection, occasionally tapping the window, but nothing too violent.
Occasionally. Actually, this morning he was going at it pretty hard. It was tap, 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 tap.
And so we have such a collection of song sparrow poop on our windowsill because this guy just insists. I've shooed him away. I've tried to.
But you know what? I rather have the taps of bird bills such as flicker and the song sparrow, rather than taps of construction right next to me. So maybe we should do an episode dedicated to what it's like to live in the city versus what it's like to live out in the country. And
right, because we had country living for a long time, and then we had a month of city living.
Yeah.
And we were both driven absolutely nuts by the end of it. It was like every day was just torture.
So hearing birds right now is just music to my ears.
It is up your alley.
Yeah, I like it actually.
Perfect. So we let them know where they can find us. And I'd like to, like I said, once again, just to reiterate, thanks to anyone who wants to subscribe or give this podcast a 5-star rating.
Ooh. We would love that.
Or a review. If you actually want to get on that keyboard and do a little tappa and give us a review, I think that we would appreciate that immensely. And we're going to be dropping these every Monday.
You got it.
So that means we record 7 this week, 18 next week, and then we get like a half-year backlog, right?
Yeah. And we realize that this is our first episode. And it's I can't wait till we get to a place where we found, you know how they say found your voice. We've found our voice,
right?
And we're kind of settled into a niche and a style,
right?
And then but we go back to the very first episode, and I go,
revisit your sins, kind of thing. Like,
we kind of go, we've come a long way.
Okay, episode 100, we'll revisit our sins.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right.
So that's it for us at Mountain Misfits. Anything you'd like to say to the people before we...
No, just subscribe. You'll love us.